Hey, good morning, friends. It's Johanna with this week's Edwards Public Library mini story time. How do you like my hat? It's a great hat, isn't it? I am getting ready to celebrate in just about 1 month, July 4th, Independence Day. So that's why I'm wearing a tricorn hat. It reminds me of parades and fireworks and independence. So today we're going to be celebrating that too with an old song from colonial times. And I'm going to tell you a tall tale. So let's go ahead, starting with our song. Do your ears hang low? Do they wobble to and fro? Can you tie them in a knot? Can you tie them in a bow? Can you throw them o'er your shoulder like a continental soldier? Do your ears hang low? Do your ears stick out? Can you waggle them about? Can you flap them up and down as you're flying through your town? Can you stick them in for shore when you hear an awful bore? Do your ears stick out? Do your ears stick out, or do they sit nice and perfect to your head? Anyway, now it's time for our tall tale. A tall tale is a story that has a little exaggeration, and in early America, people used to tell tall tales to their groups, especially workers at the end of the day. This tall tale is from the African American tradition, and it is the story of John Henry, the steel driving man. Well, once upon a time, it was a deep, dark night, and there was a crack of lightning, and John Henry was born. John Henry was the most awesome baby anyone had ever seen. He had great strong arms and wide shoulders. He was a baby with big muscles. Well, he started growing that first day, and John Henry didn't stop growing until he was the strongest man alive. Why, by the time he was 5 years old, he was moving boulders, and by the time he was 8 years old, he was working with his daddy night and day for the railroad. And he would tell everybody, I am going to be a steel driving man. And you know what? By the time he was a young man, he was the greatest steel driving man in the country. Steel drivers used to make holes with hammers and spikes to make the railroads in America. Well, one really hot day in West Virginia, all of the workers were all getting really warm in the heat. It was such hard work digging those holes, and they just couldn't take it anymore. So John Henry was worried that his friends would lose their jobs. You know what? He took his hammer and he did his work, and he did the work of 20 other men. Boy, were his friends grateful to him. Well, one day a salesman came to the Big Bend Mountain and he said, I'd like to speak to the foreman. I have here a great machine. This machine is the future. It can do the work of 20 men. And the foreman said, Psh, I got John Henry. John Henry can do the work of 20 men. So he called him on over and he said, John Henry, this salesman here thinks that his machine can work just as hard as you. I say that we have a race. And John Henry looked at that machine, and he saw the future too. And he saw a future where he and his co-workers were all unemployed and couldn't help their families because the machine was going to do all their work for them. And he looked at his foreman and he said, before that machine will beat me, I'll die with a hammer in my hand. It was on. Why, the very next day, everybody gathered at Big Bend Mountain to watch man versus machine. And everybody was all excited. Everyone except for Polly Ann, John Henry's wife. Well, she was very worried because it was so hot and because it was such hard work. John Henry hissed his hammer, and the machine went brrr and started. And it was on. John Henry dug with his hammer, but the machine was going twice as fast as John Henry. So he grabbed another hammer, and he went twice as fast as he could go, and he was singing to keep time. Before that machine will beat me, I'll die with the hammer in my hand. And he kept going, and clouds of dust and dirt started coming out of the tunnel, and people were yelling and screaming, all excited, until finally they heard a ka-chunk. What was that noise? The salesman ran in, and he pulled out his machine in 2 pieces. Meanwhile, John Henry kept on going and going and going until his body could take it no more. And Polly Ann and all his friends came in and pulled him out of the tunnel. And he looked at them and said, before that machine will beat me, I'll die with the hammer in my hand. The end. I hope you liked that tall tale. It was one of my favorites when I was a kid. So back to all this Americana. This week's craft is going to be silversmithing. Now, we're not really going to do silversmithing. I hope you can see that I have a paper plate here, and it has a pipe cleaner there and some aluminum foil. Why, I put some glue to make the letter J. J for Johanna. Well, you can do your own first letter, but this is mine. So then I put the aluminum foil on top, and I took a little popsicle stick, very carefully, don't want to make any holes, and I made my J. And you can do it too, and you can pretend it's money, but don't use it at the store because they're not gonna take it. All right, friends, I hope you enjoyed this week's Edwards Public Library mini story time. It was so good to see you. I hope that you're taking good care of yourselves. You know what? Next week is my last live story time, and then on June 17th, we're going to do the special Zoom Room story time with Andy Goulet. Let us know if you want to participate by emailing. Take good care. Stay nice and warm and healthy. Bye.